Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday, everybody. We are live and in effect for another segment of Prime for Prosperity. We talk about all things mindsets, including God into the mindset, even just lifestyle, strategy, everything. When we talk about prosperity, it encompasses everything. We get a little bit of all the vibes. We get a little bit of business. We get a little bit of life. Just talking about the things that are pertinent, things that would create and foster very much needed conversation, a lot of liberating conversation. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with one of my greatest camaraderies, Jatia. She is amazing. She is highly gifted at what she does. And I'm super excited because she is a clarity coach and communication specialist and expert. And so I'm very excited to have her here today because we had a side conversation. And one of the things that I think is pretty universal right now is a little bit of like reflection and projection, because we're at the halfway mark of the year. So a lot of us are looking back like, oh my God, what have I done? What needs to be done? Because, we're rolling up on December in another 6 months. And so, like coming down from that, mantra where people say it's a new year, new me. And the truth is, that's a whole nother conversation, because it's just because it's a new year doesn't mean it's a new you. But because we have this pressure of showing up for ourselves in a certain kind of way so that this year doesn't look like last year, sometimes it can cause us a little bit of overwhelm. And so especially if you're multi-passionate, you want to stick around for this conversation because it's really going to bless you. And if you're multi-passionate, more than likely you are in company with other multi-passionate. So tag a few of your multi-passionate friends where you guys are accountability partners, goals, you guys set goals together and things like that. This would be a very great conversation to have, because a lot of times, we feel stuck, and we're going to talk about that as well. So I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So I'm going to do read Jatia's bio, and then we're going to get into it. So she is multi-passionate, strategic, unapologetic. Oh my God, I love that word. Like, you're the second person that has that in their bio, and I resonate with that word so much. Transformational. Jatia Jones is a conduit for clarity. Fondly known as the Clarity Queen, Jatia is the host of the Confident and Courageous Clarity podcast and serves as the CEO of Jatia Jones Consulting, a boutique strategy and communications consulting firm designed to empower visionaries with clarity and ignite their personal pledged impact by curating their personal plan to win for personal and professional freedom and fulfillment. I love that. As a personal and professional development coach, she blazes a path for the multi-skilled to pursue their calling, transform their dreams of today into the reality of tomorrow, and generate heart-centered impact and income. I love that. So let's give her a round of applause because this is a lot, and this is amazing because I feel like the communications part is a big piece of what you do. Like, just helping people to articulate their different passions and their gifts, serve as their best self. Hey, how are you?
Girl, I'm good. My while you were talking, of course, my headset wanted to go out, and I was like, "No!"
Oh, that's cute.
Look, I'm like, my hands are up. I don't know how this just happened. Hold on.
That's a cute background.
There we go.
So I know I did your formal bio, but if you would like kindly introduce yourself.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Crystal's community. I'm Jatia Jones of Jatia Jones Consultant, and I am a multi-passionate. I am a clarity coach, strategy consultant, and just genuine, authentic person that wants to make the world a better place and help people make their dreams come true, especially those who have these God winks and God downloads to create something that doesn't exist or to put your own spin on it, to close a gap to make things better, not just for you, but for those that you're called to serve.
I love that. And what you just said right now stuck out to me about divine downloads, because I think sometimes when we get those divine downloads and divine deposits from heaven, eyes have not seen, ears have not heard. So we get into a place where we sometimes we get coached and we get coached by people that put us like in a cookie cutter type of thing. And we know for a fact that we're a snowflake. And what I love about your approach, even just as in our brief conversation, was that that's not how you do your clients.
Right.
You bring them through a very freeing yet transformational process, which I would like to talk about that today, like in a general sense, because I know there's a lot of multi-passionate people watching, because I'm multi-passionate. So I have a lot of multi-passionate people in my community. I don't know if she's here, but I know I saw Candy here. She's a great chef.
Mm-hmm.
She knows she's in the beauty industry. She's a mother. And so we've had multiple conversations about things that she wants to do, things that she sees herself doing. And so it's like, I feel even for myself, there's a lot of things that I see myself doing. And I think it has a lot to do with being confident too.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a multi-passionate, a lot of times we're confident because we're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm good at this, I'm going to do it. And then, sometimes that confidence can be a blessing and a curse at the same time, because now you find yourself trying to do so many things. So I would love for you to kind of give us an overview of the process that you walk your clients through, especially the ones that are confident, because I feel like we're talking to confident people today, confident people that just don't feel confident in their next move, because this is a halfway point. I can speak for myself and be transparent that I felt kind of stuck. Like I gave you that scenario earlier, kind of comparing it to the children of Israel when they were at the river Jordan, and they're like, well, what are we gonna do? And they had to really they had to wait I think almost 3 days to get instruction and get that clarity and to get that direction, because at that point they felt defeated and they felt overwhelmed. So that's kind of the over umbrella of what I would like for us to touch on today.
Girl, yes. So let me tell you, majority of multi-passionate people are high achieving, right? Because we're so good at so many different things. We can do almost anything and do it well. But we all have our whispers of doubt, right? And using that example, especially with the Jordan River, they had to have the courage to leave, to even be able to come upon this river to meet that next obstacle, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of us are very confident. We have courage in different areas, but it's only when we have that clarity.
Right.
And clarity, I tend to say, it definitely breeds confidence and it breeds courage, but at the same time, it also breeds confusion. Because it's like, I always say, it's like getting on an airplane to go on vacation. You're excited because you can see the vision. You know what your hotel looks like. You know what the excursions look like. And as you're on the plane, you see the ground, the trees, or whatever. But as you evolve and you go higher, everything gets fuzzy below. And at some point in time, you don't know where in the world you are in the middle of the sky. You know you're still on the same journey, but you have absolutely no clue where you are on that journey. Right. And so nowadays on the plane, they show you the little map and you're like, oh, okay, we have so much long to go, right? So again, you're confident, you're courageous, and you're excited about it. But in real life, that's not really how it happens. Like I told you, I feel like God has a sense of humor that I don't always think is so funny. And so he doesn't always give us that confirmation that we're halfway there. He doesn't always give us the confirmation that it's literally right around the corner. And he doesn't always give us the clarity we want when we want it, right? But at the same time, you're already innately a confident person. You were cherry picked and chosen by him, which is why you come out here with this confidence. But we have those whispers of doubt that nobody else can always hear. And that's when things get difficult for us, when we feel defeated and depleted. And a lot of times also because, like you said, eyes haven't seen or heard. So we feel misunderstood. We don't feel supported. We feel like we're doing all the things and we have the weight of the world on our shoulders because we're like, God gave us this assignment. We're excited about this assignment. But at the same time, it's a lonely, hard journey when you can't articulate the end goal and the vision to get people on board with you. And so the normal people in the world will try to talk you out of. Your family will be like, you're doing too much. Just stay in, in line and get the good job and because we love out of fear. We want our family and people to be safe, right? So it's like, as we become adults, parents are like, the only way I could keep you safe is that I know you have a good job. You can support yourself and take care of yourself. And so they don't understand it either. And most times we're the only one in our area code or zip code that has the vision and has the option to go after the vision, because there's many others out there, but they don't have the courage to stand out. They don't have the courage to be different. They don't have the courage to say, you know what, I am a black sheep and I'm proud of that. And I'm going to stand out. I'm not going to try to blend into the white flock, even though I can't, right? And so because of that, the first and foremost thing that I love to do with my clients is create community, and a safe community to let you know, hey, you're not alone. There are other people out here. You're not loony, right? God gave you this idea, and you are the one that's destined to make this thing happen. It's you. And your support systems out there is just not in a traditional fashion. It's not your friends. It's not your family. It's the new people over here on the other side of the world, right? Thank God for Zoom. But then, we have to take you through the ABCs of clarity, which is through, let me rewind. I take them through 3 phases: refine, define, and transform. But in that refine phase, we got to go through the ABCs of clarity, which is accept, believe, and connect the dots between your past, your present, and your future, and then connect with the new people in the world that are supposed to support you along this journey. But you have to accept that you are qualified without all the things. You're qualified because God said you are. You're qualified because you have the vision. You have to accept that being multi-passionate is a superpower and not a bad thing. You have to accept that being extra and different is a good thing and not a bad thing. You have to accept that the family and friends that you want to go with you aren't going to make it with you. They're not meant to go on the whole journey with you. And so there's a lot of shedding. It's a lot of heartbreak. It's a lot of tears. It's a lot of pain, but it's a lot of joy. It's a lot of fulfillment and a lot of freedom that comes once we finally accept and we truly believe that, we know God gave us this vision, but it's like, oh, well, maybe I need to connect with this person so they can do it. Believe that it's meant for you. Believe that you can. Believe that he's going to come through before you get too hungry or before the bank account gets too low. Because I can't quote scripture that well, but what I do know is it says, you believe, then you ask and you shall receive. And most people are always like, ask and you shall receive. No, you have to believe, because God, we the homies, right? And so me and God be like, he's like, get your life together. And so when I doubt him, he sits there, he shakes his head at me and he laughs at me, because he knows how I feel when people doubt me. I don't like it. And I be like, okay, whatever, do you then. You do that over there. And when you want to be about that life and stop talking about it, come holler at me. And so he does the same thing to me. He's like, when you ready about that life and you ready to talk about it and be about it, and you believe that I'm the one that's going to help you do it, come talk to me. Otherwise, stop wasting my time. And so we have to go through that whole process just in the refine phase. So refine, design, and then transform. So there are phases. It is definitely an up-down journey, but when you build a thing, it's amazing. The TV didn't exist before it existed. Indoor plumbing didn't exist before it existed. Why not use?
Yeah, that's so good. I heard so many different things that I want to touch on, like especially with the believing in yourself, right? And just going back to that piece where we talked about the confidence, and you said something very like a very good point. Like you know how it feels when people doubt you. And so sometimes it's like if you doubting God, it's like that's like the ultimate diss to God. You know, like wait a second, like God, you brought me to this point. Now I'm feeling doubtful, and I feel like that's something that the children of Israel really struggle with, especially when we talk about the journey to their promised land. Right? Mm-hmm. They couldn't, even though it was said to them multiple times. You know, Moses was trying to lead them, Joshua was leading them, and all of those things like that. And they, even though they heard it, it's just like they didn't believe it. They would say, well, send us back to where we came from, because obviously God just wants to leave us for dead. God just wants to leave us hanging. And I think that, you know, to some degree, to some context, sometimes we may even put ourselves in that self-infliction of doubt, like doubting where we are, doubting what God said, all because it doesn't look like what we wanted it to look like, or doesn't feel like what we wanted it to feel like. And so with that being said, do you have like a framework or like an assessment or something when it comes to your clients where they feeling like, okay, I'm just doubtful because I may feel like I'm not in alignment? Mm-hmm. Well, like when you hear that word alignment, what is that like? What is that for you as a coach?
So I'm a visual learner, and so for me, I always give analogies that are visual. And the first one would be, I think of clogged pipes, right? So you got this 90-degree angle and you got sludge trying to go through it, right? And it's forced and it's stuck and it bags everything up and everything is super hard and it's super. And once the pipe is unclogged or it's a straight pipe, everything flows. And a lot of times when it comes to multi-passionates or my clients specifically, they don't want to accept that the easy thing is their thing. Mm-hmm. They don't want to accept that the easy thing is their gift. They don't want to accept that they can make money, like a sustainable living, doing the easy thing. And I hear so often that, I mean, if it's that easy, anybody can do it. Why are they going to pay me to do it? Why should I do it? Why is there or the other thing is, if it was meant to be done that way, somebody would have already done it by now. And so we keep forcing ourselves to go in this 90-degree angle that's not meant for us. We keep forcing ourselves to fit in a box that's confining for a bunch of reasons. One, we're conditioned to, right? Mm-hmm. They took critical thinking out of schools 550 years ago because they wanted us to go work in the factories. And you can't think and work in a factory because you're going to ask questions. Why is this working? Why don't we have better healthcare? Why don't we? You're going to ask all the questions, right? And so a lot of us are scared to think outside of the box. We're scared to actually be critical thinkers and share our opinions that don't go with the status quo. We're scared to be disruptors and do things differently because when you do, you're chastised, you're ostracized, all the things you don't want to be because you want to be accepted. Mm-hmm. And so part of the refine framework is unlearning the things we've learned and asking ourselves why, turning back into that toddler who asks why, until we give them an answer that is acceptable to them and that makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. Because let me even rewind some more with that. There are about 5 phases to the multi-passionate life cycle, as I call it. In the beginning, it's exploration. When we're kids and we're like figuring it out, and I want to be a superhero, a doctor, and a firefighter when I grow up. And the first thing that the parents say to you is, well, what about a doctor or engineer? Something that's going to make money. And or they say you have to choose one. So at a very early age, we're like, well, dang, like pop my balloon, right? And so then we start trying to choose and force ourselves to choose and fit in a box, right? And so from then, they start putting us in these specialty things, and you got to choose what your major is going to be if you go to school, or choose your career. And so from then, you go on this journey of trying to figure it out, that alignment where you're fulfilled and you feel good about the work that you do. But I got to make a living too, right? Because I got bills and responsibilities. And so that's when we develop into a multi-passionate, because we're chasing the thing that we love to do, our passions, to see if we can make money doing them. And then there gets a point in time where the money's not enough and there's not enough money. And that's when we start to seek clarity, if we really have the courage to stand up and be like, you know what, life is too short. I can't do this rat race. The God that I serve has shown me that there's more out there for me. I'm supposed to do this. Life is better, whatever the case is for you, right? And so that's when we start on this journey of seeking clarity and trying to turn our passions into a job, and really getting focused and honing in. And so I share that because how I get you from all of that to actually walking in purpose is we got to refine the things. We got to go back to exploration. What are the things that you really love? What are the things that you're really good at? What are the easy things? Now, let's look at all the things you said you wanted to be, all the things that you want to do, not just the things you've learned how to do in school or through jobs, but that you innately do, and you do with family, friends, and your personal and your professional. And once we connect the dots and we see, oh, there's a common thread, as I call it. Some of my clients call it the silver lining between all the things that you do. It's like, oh, I actually do that thing. And 9 times out of 10, it's the easiest thing for you to do, which is really difficult for others to do, but it's easy for you. And now we have to take that and plop it into this recipe of the vision that God's already given you, and put some strategy behind that. Another word for strategy is plan. I'm like, let's plan to win, right? To develop the thing that doesn't exist that God told you you're supposed to create. So you can do what you naturally do. You get the fulfillment. You're serving other people, and you're helping them do what they're supposed to do in their assignment, whatever that looks like. And so we have to start with the refining and redefining who you are. You're not the labels. When we, go to networking events, it's like, what do you do? Oh, I'm the VP of sales, but that doesn't tell me what you actually do. It doesn't tell me your secret sauce, right? So like, I stopped introducing myself as a coach and a consultant, and I say I'm a multi-passionate and I'm a communication and strategy expert, because I am. I do that in life and business. You want to figure out how to unclog your plumbing in the bathroom and or in life, I got you, because we're going to work out this strategy.
Yeah.
That's what I innately do, right? And so you have to really hone back into your core and accept who you are, who you've always been, that easy thing, the good and the bad about you. Your insecurities are 9 times out of 10 your superhero power. So you got to accept you, and we work through that, and we create a safe space for that. And that's stuff that a lot of people, as I say, DIY in the dark. They do it by themselves for at least 2 years before they are brave enough to come and say, hey, I need help.
Wow, that is so good. And you know what? I like what you said about, like, it's not about your title. It's about, like, who are you? Like your passions, what do you like, your skills and your gifts outside of your title. And I don't know why. I don't know if somebody on here is like a product-based business, but how do you, like, I guess, extrapolate that into someone who may have a product-based business where they're like, well, I'm not the face of my brand, but I want to express who I am through my brand. Like how do you coach that person, or, give them like a mindset tweak with that?
Honestly, you're always the face of your brand. A lot of times we want to hide, but you are it. Especially if you're multi-passionate, because let me tell you something. You are the secret sauce. And when you brand you can change from interior design to being a chef, because your why behind both of those are normally the same. It's normally because I want to provide an experience either in your home or on your palette that gives you joy, heals your soul, makes you happy. Whatever your why is the same, no matter how you do it. And I tell people that all the time, your passions are your how. They're not what you do, they're your how. And so even if it's a product based, like I have my planner, right? But my planner was created because of my why. I want you to be able to be clear about the different things that you're doing in this vision that you're creating and you're building. And I want you to break it all the way down to bite-sized pieces so you're not overwhelmed with this huge, audacious, big vision that God's giving you. My why is the same. I want to make your dreams come true. I want to turn your dreams into reality.
So good.
That's the product. That's a product. But at the end of the day, my why is the same. So either you're going to have to share your why or you're going to have to share you. And normally when it comes to us as multi-passionates, if we share us and we share the why behind what we do, and we share, it will make sense as to why we do 550 million things. It makes sense to the people that really know me as the fact that I'm a certified nail tech. I'm a certified bartender. I am an instructional designer. I have a degree in technical communication and a background in public health. Why? Because I want to take your dreams of today and make them into the reality of tomorrow. If you want to be healthier than you are today, tomorrow, I got the strategy and the plan for you to win at doing that. If you want to take a vision about your business of today and turn it into a reality of tomorrow, I have the strategy and the plan to help you. Like, no matter what it is, it makes sense. When I was doing nails or even bartending, that's about helping you bring your vision to life. How do you want your guests to feel? What's this experience? Let's take your vision of today and make it the reality of tomorrow. I have the plan and strategy behind that. Even with bartending. Okay, tell me what do you want your guests to feel like? What is the purpose of this party? What is your nails? Do you type a lot? Maybe they don't need to be long. Do you like glitter? Like all of the things.
Right.
It's taking something that has not been created or done, that's in your soul, and bringing it into this world as a reality, no matter how I do it or what I do. And so once multi-passionates really realize that, like, your why behind what you do, it doesn't matter how you do it. You can change that. I won't say today and tomorrow. We want some kind of consistency, right?
Yeah.
But the point is, you can be all the things. You can do all the things.
That is so good. Wow. So what I heard was basically, your story. Like, your story has that infusion of your why, and that's what will allow the people to connect with you regardless of what you do. So like, if they see me doing hair today and they know me, they know my heart, they know my story, they know my why, and then I'm just like maybe selling cupcakes tomorrow, they'll buy the cupcakes because it's me.
Yeah.
And they connect with me. They know that whatever Crystal does, she puts her heart into it. Wow.
And you're gonna sell your cupcakes while you do hair, because they need something to snack on too, especially if you're doing braids. You know what I'm saying? Like, package these things, make it part of the experience that they get when they come to you to get their hair done, if that's what you're gonna be doing, right? You don't have to. The analogy I always give too is, like, if you're making spaghetti, you're not gonna wait till the noodles are done to start your meat sauce. You can do these things simultaneously. They combine to make this delicious, delectable meal at the end of the day. They don't have to be completely and totally separate. There are so many of us as multi-passionates that waste money because we're trying to do it like traditional business does. Oh, I need to focus on this one business until I make $1 million, when I know good and well that those cupcakes go along with this hair. I don't know how, but my soul tell me that I'm supposed to be doing these multiple things at one time, because 9 times out of 10, you can connect the dots and make it into like your experience. Your skills and your gifts aren't always the money maker. Well, your gift is always the money maker, but your skills and techniques that you've learned along the way, they're there to help make your business extra special and make it different, right? So like my curriculum development, I have courses. Not that I'm out here making curriculum for people. I can coach you in that, but that's not my money maker. But it's helping compound the impact of my business. Your cupcakes are gonna make them happy while they get their hair. You know what I'm saying? So like, it can compound the impact of your why. It can make the experience and make what you do different than the next, which is also going to convert that into sales for the people that are looking for you, the people that you're called to serve.
Wow. So good. I love that. That makes a lot of sense because anyway, sometimes people be sitting in that chair for like 3 hours and they be getting
Girl,
hungry anyway. So why not, make an extra couple dollars with the cupcakes, find a way to
add
keep
it
it
into
fresh.
your price,
And
and they
then
think
that's
it's
it.
free, and they be like, "Oh
Exactly. Or even
my God, she
add
loves
it,
me."
exactly, incorporate it into the fee.
Mhm.
So that way it's just like a complimentary, part of the
Yeah,
experience, but it's really, already been like accounted for and paid for. That's
yeah,
good. That's really freeing for somebody. I don't know if it was freeing for anybody else, but that was very freeing for me because like I know, with so many different things and just going back to that piece about just kind of accidentally being put in a box because of what somebody says, well, focus, you have to niche, you have to do this, which focus is good. I
yes,
believe that
it is.
you should be able to get a handle of something before you juggle, like try to juggle so to speak. But I don't think you should wait so long because, like you said, it brings that uniqueness, like
Mhm.
that your own little secret sauce, your own little flair when you have the cupcakes with the hair versus saying, you know what, maybe 5 years from now I'll have my bakery shop. You know what I'm saying? It like I love that. Make your dreams your reality because it's like I want to be giving out cupcakes now. Why do I have to
Yeah,
wait? Why do I have to
you don't
wait to
have
have a
to
brick and
wait for
mortar?
the brick and mortar.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly. So that's
and the
amazing.
clarity's in the doing. Like the when you do, you get clearer, right?
Yeah.
So that whole focus thing, because Hershey, me, multi-passionate, has been all over the place, feels all over the place, and frustrated with being all over the place, right? I want to be normal, so to speak. But what I will tell you is that the more you do, the clearer you get, the more you focus.
Mm.
But it goes back to that exploration phase. Like us doing all the things is the version of a kid playing in paint, trying to figure out what their favorite color is. And so
Yeah.
the more you do, the clearer you get. The clarity's in the doing. You have to do it. Because a lot of us are also perfectionists, right? I call myself a recovering perfectionist because it's like, oh, I'm going to get it right before I do this. No, you won't
Mm.
even know if it's right until you do it. To perfect is an action. Like you have to do something in order to know how to tweak it to make it perfect. And so
Mm.
if you're trying to do stuff in the dark before I start it, before I put it out, before I share it, it will never be perfect. I don't care how many times you do your slides over or change your logo or until you put it out there and people be like, girl, that's hideous. Will you really not know if it works or not,
Right.
right?
That makes sense. And then I also heard a quote too that your first anything is gonna be the worst. Like for example, your first hairstyle is gonna be the worst. Your first speech is gonna be the worst because as you continue, then you start to get sharper, and like you said, you start to get clear and all of those things because maybe eventually you're like, you know what? I really think cupcakes work out better for me than doing hair. And you're like, well, I'm just gonna sell cupcakes. I'm just gonna focus on the cupcakes. But now you already have your clientele for the cupcakes because you were doing hair. So it worked out anyway. There's no waste. People
Mm-hmm.
will trust you
Mm-hmm.
and people can refer you. They're like, yeah, girl, I done had her cupcakes. Get some of these cupcakes.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
And
So
you figure out the ROI too. Because as multi-passionates, we're like, honestly, we're chasing the money, honestly. And that's what takes away from our focus because I'm sorry, Outcast just popped in my head. Baby gotta eat. So anyway, I always have a song in my head. But like we're chasing the money because that's what we're taught to do. And we when you the older you get, the more um you get more responsibilities, right? And so that's the hardest part for me is to get my clients to stop focusing on the money because they
mm,
don't understand like once you stop focusing on the money because they come to me and they're like tell me how to make money doing this
mm,
thing and I'm like let's rewind especially my guy clients like look, one he always starts our session with I've been working on it and you right and I'm like I know but the thing is like we don't stick with anything long enough because it doesn't make the money fast enough where if we actually just honed in and focused on the real why and got real with ourselves and stop caring about what other people think, and that it's not traditional and it's not normal, and what people may think, and remove all of that stuff and stop focusing on the money and focus on the why, the how comes. Because, for example, the analogy is, okay, I got to go to the grocery store. Why do you have to go to the grocery store? Because I want to make this new meal because I just found out my husband's diabetic, right? I want to test out these recipes. Okay, so we're going to get in the car, and what you going to tell the GPS? Take me to the grocery store? Which grocery store? Why do we need to go to the Kroger versus a Whole Foods? If we're working with a diabetic, maybe we need some kind of organic this or that maybe a regular Kroger in our community doesn't have. Okay, and so then we're going to put in the GPS, take me to Whole Foods. And the reason why we're doing that, which is your community, is because somebody can tell you a shortcut to get there. It may be the longer route, but there's traffic on the short route, so it gets you there in a faster. So you really have to hone in on the why and stop focusing on how much money it's going to cost, because technically, when you eat right, you reduce your doctor bills and your medical bills and all the vitamins and supplements you have to take, right? So the ROI, the return on your investment, the long-term gain, it balances it out. If not, gives you more in return. So when you don't focus on the money, you stop hopping from the thing. You stop wasting money investing in the thing, and you get clear and you focus, because you're like, this is the thing. I'm being real with myself. I want to mix cupcakes and hair, and I know nobody else is talking about it. Nobody else thinks it's a thing. Nobody else thinks it can work. But when you do it, your joy is there. It's less effort and stress to do it. You're fulfilled. You're happy. Your clients love your clientele. They go talk about you to everybody they know. And before you know it, you booked and busy, and you can't take people. You got a waiting list. Where some people think not being able to book is a bad thing, where other people have FOMO and then they really want to get in, so they booking with you 6 months in advance instead of being like, no, let me go to somebody else.
So good. Wow. Yeah, I love that analogy that you brought in about going to the grocery store for a very specific reason, even if you have to wait a little bit extra in traffic. Like, I know where I'm trying to go, but more so why. And I'm willing to wait in this traffic because I'm trying to establish something very specific.
You have a purpose.
There's a purpose. That is so good. That is so good. Wow. And I'm happy too, because I think there's a lot of people that's feeling liberated too by this conversation. LaBelle, she said yes.
I love that, LaBelle. Yeah.
I want to mix my pop-up shop, my law school journey, and content creating. Definitely, like, you can definitely encourage somebody that wants to go to law school, and that transition of, or not transition, but incorporating that pop-up shop life as well in between your law school journey.
Yeah, and I don't even know what the pop-up shop is, but in my head, I see like the content creating places now. They got the different like photo backdrops and stuff, right? And they do the photo pop-up things. But then you're also teaching people about the law behind content creation and what you own and what you don't own. Like, there's so many things you can do with that.
Yeah.
But just your why behind it is what's gonna drive it.
That's so good. That's so good. Yeah, I'm telling you, being multi-passionate is fun because you never run out of ideas.
Yeah, that's true.
But then there comes a point where you're like, okay, I got to rein it all in, and then where am I going to start? And I think we talked about that as well. Like, just like, where do you start in all of that? Because, you have the ideas, but it's like, okay, and I know that I'm not limited to just doing one of the ideas, but which one do I start with? Like, how do you, I know we talked about the exploration, but as we explore what we like, okay, I like doing the hair, I like doing the cupcakes, I like doing this and doing that, but which one do I start with? Do I start with it strategically, saying, okay, well, I'm gonna start with this, and then it's gonna flow into this, because do I find a reason to make it flow, or I just say, okay, I'm gonna start with this, and then eventually I'll just add this, and then it'll flow as I go.
So you literally, because you said, oh man, you just said something about, do I force the thing?
Yeah.
And the answer is going to be no. What can you do right now without anybody else that can get the results that you want, right? And then ask yourself, why are you starting with that one, right? Are we starting with cupcakes because we think we can make money the fastest? Or are we starting with cupcakes because it brings me, like, which one gives you the less? Okay, let me rewind and just give you an example. So when I was, becoming a nail tech, right, they told us if you didn't finish your pedicure in 45 minutes, you were making less than working at McDonald's. And that hit home to me because I called myself becoming a nail tech because I wanted to make more money because I didn't get laid off, but we were furloughed. I had the good government job, and they were like, go home. We don't know when we're going to pay you. And I was like, I need some money, right? What we doing here? And so I was like, wow, because in my mind, I want to give a really good pedicure because that's what I want. I want the massage. I want it to last, all the things. So I was like, which one's going to bring me the most joy? Which one does it take the less effort? And which one can I make the most money with all of those things in mind, right? Which one has the least startup costs? Which one has, what can I do right now with what I have? And then once I have that built up, then how can that roll into the other one? Which one makes sense, right? So like even going back to the example of making spaghetti, which one makes sense for you? Is your meat already unthawed? Do you have the vegetables already chopped up? What can you do now, right now with just you that makes sense in this process to optimize your time and your return on that, right? So I know that is a non-answer to an answer to your question, but it really takes you really writing it all down because for me, my mind is always the matrix. Or I say a tornado and I see the street sign going by, I see the cow and I see the car and I'm trying to like reach out and grab it and it's like this. And so it's all in my mind. And so until I write it down and put it on paper, it's like after the storm, not until then can I organize it and rearrange it and make it really work. That's the best optimized way for me. Because a lot we're good at keeping stuff in our mind and priding ourselves. We can do all of it. Write it down. Get it out of your head. It don't have to make sense to nobody else but you. And then start to try to put the pieces of together that make sense for you. Some people want to start their noodles before they do their meat sauce. I'm not that person because I think, it ain't going to take my noodles that long. But how does it work for you? And really put some thought into that and start to strengthen your confidence muscle in yourself and stop asking other people. Because we good, because we're trying to fit into that box that society's put us in to be like, well, what you think?
Yeah.
You think that's right? What should I do? Do it. Test it. And I saw Tina Marie put in here earlier today, who's going to check you, boo? That's my favorite phase. Like, if you do your noodles first, who's going to check you? I'm not going to say nothing. That's on you. Either it's going to work or it's not. And I do that with my clients. Like, this is your vision and what your baby you want to birth and produce. So if you want to do it this way, even if I don't think that's the right way, do it. I'm not, who's going to check you? So when my clients ask me, well, what you think? What do you think? Like, this is your thing. So yeah, just write it all down is honestly the first step. And then figure out what works for you. Do you have the time? Do you have the capacity? Are you already stretched thin? Like I have a client now, well, she's in the community and she has a set of twins first. And then she recently had a set of triplets.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, man, life is lifing for you. So in this season, you just need to be journaling. I know sometimes we want to execute and we want to do the things and we want to do it now. And you need the income, right? But now is that season for you to explore. This is not a season to build. This is not a season to force. You don't have the capacity because life lives and life is gonna life. And you have to give yourself the space and grace to not force it right now.
That's so good. Yeah, 2 twins and the triplets. You done did some birthing, man. We can't really birth right now. Put the birthing on pause because and you know what? Even in that experience, in that journey, she may even be able to cater to another audience that she might have not felt like she can serve, which is much.
That's what I've been saying too. But again, when people want to force the things, you have to let them do it.
You know when you're in it, you can only see but so far, you know. And I think that's why, and just going back to what you were saying too, you know, sometimes, you know, we want to ask people for their opinion, and I don't think there's anything wrong with sounding boards, because that also incorporates that community piece.
Yeah, you need
Because
community.
yeah, because you want to be in community with people who are, you know, really embracing that multi-passionate life. But then also too, it's like you also have to be open-minded as well, because sometimes, you know, we see things the way we see it, but it like broaden our horizon if we actually get like a little bit of insight from somebody who actually has like your best interest in heart, not loving you out of fear, but loving you out of beyond, like, not necessarily beyond what you can see, because your vision is your vision, but just giving you that different perspective. I saying like, ma'am, like, you don't have to like count yourself out of this because of this. Like, you can actually use this to count yourself in and use it as an advantage, you know?
Very much so. Very much so. Because, you know, the one thing about community and or just coaching, right, is that you get the cliff notes. We tend to want to do things the hard way or do it by ourselves, because a lot of times we have asked for help, or, you know, we trusted the wrong people and all the things. Looks like it's about to turn the light on. But and so therefore we go through these phases where it's like, okay, I'm gonna try to figure out how to do this all on my own. And wrong light, there we go. And so we do it the hard way. But community is so beneficial. It's like the one of the fastest ways, one, not to feel alone, not to feel like you've lost your whole entire mind, because you will, especially when you're having these God ideas or visions or whatever the case may be. And to get the cliff notes and to get the network and the support, because they may know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. And you're like, never would I have ever thought to ask, or being able to get that sponsorship from Amazon, right? Because God will set up that divine timeline for you to meet this random person in the randomest places. And before you know it, 2 years later, they're working in the position that you need to connect you with whatever to make your dream come true.
Wow. So good. Yeah, that's just like, you know, putting your best foot forward and like operating with intentionality. Because I always like, I usually tell people part of my prophetic gifting is like, the way I tap into my prophetic gifting is to like really try to track God in each moment. I'm not always good at it, but I either lesson or message in something that's happening in the moment. And sometimes even when I'm talking with certain people, I'll be like, okay, God, like, why you got us talking right now? Like, is this something I'm supposed to like ask, or, you know, making the connection? Like, because I think it's nothing wrong with small talk. Don't get me wrong. I think it's good, because, you know, barely nowadays with everybody head down in their phone, you'll be lucky to get small talk. So I love the fact that, you know, I'm not discounting small talk, but I feel like even when you have certain type of conversations with certain people, there's an opportunity there, and God is just trying to give you that opportunity, and you just gotta kind of lean into it. And I think that's where, you know, really understanding, going back to your why, like, okay, well, I know I'm at work today. Kind of like, I think I told you that too. Like, when I go to work, sometimes they're like, okay, Krista, you're gonna be on this unit. And then they call me and they're like, no, Krista, you were supposed to be on this unit. And then this is like a zigzag. But I'm like, you know what? I laugh, I chuckle, because I'm like, okay, God, you up to something. And then the unit that I end up being on is because either I had to minister to a patient, or, you know, I end up making a connection that I couldn't even the best networking event could pay for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like God literally sets you up in that moment. Just kind of thinking like about like David, when he was tending to the sheep, you know, even that served a purpose. He may not have thought that it was like the greatest thing in the world, but it ended up being an opportunity for God to get the glory when he defeated Goliath. So it's like those little things, just being intentional with where you are and not feeling doubtful or not feeling frustrated, but like, okay, God, you have me here, and these are the resources. And, you know, is this the resource for me? Because sometimes we get burned. We get burned because we're like, we end up being in a bad community. We think it's going to be something, and it's nothing. It's not it's not quality, or it's not giving what you thought that you expected it to give, or something like that. But the point is to just be intentional with finding that, and you'll eventually land where you need to land.
Exactly. And not letting it hurt your heart, because most of us are so pure of heart and genuine. Like, we really, truly just want to help. And I was having a conversation with a client earlier today, and she was talking about how funny it is that people give you the side eye when you just want to help. And I was like, it's so sad, but it's so true that the trust is gone from so many people. And so when you genuinely just are out here trying to help, you get that judgment, you get that, you get all the things, right? You get that. TD Jake said in a post the other day, he was like, you think people just don't like you, it's your anointing that agitates them, or whatever, right? And I'm like, when you're genuine and you just want to help, unfortunately people push their help away because they don't think it's possible. They don't think, oh, you can literally just be this nice person. These people don't exist anymore. And so a lot of us will allow that to harden our hearts. But going through those processes and looking at them as lessons learned and not losses will help you continue on that journey too. And looking, and like you said, being intentional.
Yeah, and I think also too, another reason why some people may give you the side eye when you're trying to help them is because they feel like it's going to take something away from them, which is like the worst mindset. Like, even till now in my big age, I still can't wrap my mind around that. Like, you think me helping you is going to take away from you. If anything, like, I feel like that's a blessing, because, you either cut the learning curve, or, you avoid a bump down the road. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing it to get credit for anything that you're going to achieve. It's more so to be a piece of your, like, not even be a piece of your story, but to play a part in your success.
To what God told you to do.
Right, exactly. I'm serving you. And I think, even the Bible says that, like, our gifts are for one another. And so when you have those type of people side-eyeing you, let them side-eye you and keep it moving. And then the person that you're meant to serve, that will actually appreciate your gift. And, there's a whole bartering system in that too, because, the Jewish people do that. Like, you have a farm, I have a shop. Listen, we're gonna barter. I'm gonna use your cows to stock my store with milk, and you can use my store to advertise your butter, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I just said that with a friend the other day. She was like, "Can you send me a link so I can pay you?" I was like, "For why? Because I'm gonna be asking you for help real soon.
Exactly.
So, like, then I'm gonna have to pay you. Why we just don't do this bartering thing where I help you, you help me."
Exactly. And so I feel like that's where, especially like in the body of Christ, I feel like we're lacking in that unity. And if we could only understand that, because that's a whole nother topic too. I had that conversation with another young lady about having dominion and subduing. And dominion is about really, numbers. Like, if we can, if I'm a force by myself, we could be a movement together.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? And bringing all this multi-passionate movements and taking over these mountains, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it's easier said than done. But we're going to get there, little by little.
The more of us that show up and show that it can be done, the more that people will actually believe it can be done.
Yes. That's true. Making it more normalized and things like that. And just being intentional too, going back to that intentional piece about connecting. Because I think we have so many events, and people show up to the events for the people that are speaking, and which is great, the panel and those that are speaking. But I think if we really use those events to make more like connections, meaningful connections, like mixing and networking and things like that, it'll be more powerful.
Yeah, you never know who you're sitting next to and who they know,
Right.
But you're really, intentionality is the key to a lot of things, because we have big hearts and we like to serve and all the things. I know for me specifically, there was a time where I was giving to everybody else, and I was helping them do all the things that they needed to do, and I was too tired to do what I was supposed to do. And so in all transparency, what made me put those boundaries in place, because having boundaries, what's that? Like, it made me feel wrong, and like I wasn't genuine to myself, because most parents don't raise you to have boundaries is do as I say, right? Even if you thought it was right or wrong, right? And so making that transition to actually have boundaries wasn't easy, but what did it was I had a dream, and everybody that I helped was behind the pearly gates. And they were like, hey, come on in. And God was like, nope, not you. You didn't do what I told you to do. And they're like, but God, she helped me though. And I was like, but God, I helped them though. And he was like, but you didn't do what I told you to do.
Wow.
And I couldn't get in. And I was like, I woke up and I was like, okay, no became my favorite word. Like, nope, I can't help you today because I had to be intentional about my thing. Nope, I can't do it because I had to be intentional about my thing. And even when it comes to like bartering, I would give my service away like time and time again. But then I was like, okay, you're eating and you're eating well and you're thriving and you're flourishing and we struggling to pay the bills. Nope, can't do that anymore. You know, like you just have that sense of discernment. It's all about balance, right? But that intentionality about being obedient, that intentionality about having those boundaries so you can prioritize what is important to you, right? Because when you're juggling all the things, because life is gonna life, what are you intentional about? What are you intentional about? And because another analogy I've been using a lot lately, where I feel because we all evolve, right? You can make it and then you're going to be in the next evolution. And I feel like I'm in a really long hallway, right? So like most people be like, you got to let go of the other doorknob to be able to open the door in front of you. No, my hallway is real long. There's no way I could touch either one of them. And over here is dark, but I know what's in that hallway. I can navigate it with my eyes closed, right? But I also know what I want is this way. And I see the crack in the door. I see what God has destined for me and all the things. But I don't know that hallway. I can't navigate it in the dark, and it's scary. And I don't want to step on snakes and spiders and bugs and all the things. So I'd rather stay here because here is comfortable. It's safe. But I know over there is where I want to go. And I also have to fight with myself because my knee jerk is to do the things that I did that got me here. But doing the things that got me here won't get me there. But it's comfortable. I know it. So my knee jerk response is to do that thing. When now I have to step outside of my comfort zone and I have to evolve to the next version of me in order to be able to get over there. And so it's always this constant battle when you're in evolution to be like, okay, I'm being obedient. I'm listening to you, God. I'm scared though, God, because I don't know what I'm about to step on, if I'm going to bump my big toe or whatever, walking in this direction. But I know that's where I want to go. And so many of us just revert back to this because it's comfortable, it's safe. I know it. I can function with less stress with all the balls that I'm juggling because I don't have to be intentional. I can be on autopilot. And so intentionality is one of the core pillars of getting you over here to making your dream of today into the reality of tomorrow. It's not an easy journey, but intentionality is a major piece of that puzzle.
Exactly. And what I hear what you're saying is like, you know, a lot of times before we even got to that comfortable space, we were uncomfortable. So we also
You're doing the same thing.
we have to remind ourselves that, you know, the same God that helped us navigate that dark space where now we can literally have gotten so adapted and so accustomed that we can navigate it. We can even give somebody directions to navigate it themselves. But God is like, okay, well, now I need you here. And that's going to require, like you said, an evolution. And then even if you look at different species, like of animals per se, like let's say, for example, I think like the frog or something like that. Frogs don't look like how they look like when they first start out. Nothing looks like, but eventually over time, the skin changed, everything changed because of the climate and all of that stuff. That's why you can see one type of frog in one country, the skin is more smooth, where when you look in another state or whatever, it's bumpy, it's dry, it's like, ugh, what is that? Oh, it doesn't look as nice as that light green frog over there. That's because they're in a different climate. That's because they had to evolve differently. It's a similar species, but they have evolved into what they needed to survive and thrive in that environment. You know what I'm saying? And so I think we can liken it to ourselves in that way. Like, what is it that I need in this season? What is it that I need to become, whether it's another level of covering, you know, because sometimes you get level in your life, you need covering. God showed me that in a dream a couple of nights ago. Like, Crystal, where I'm trying to take you, you're going to need covering. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh my God, God, I didn't even know that it was like that. Is that deep? Oh, no, you need to be covered. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like we have to really understand that last season we're comfortable, but it's going to require different things now to get to that next level. And we will eventually be able to be comfortable, but that's when you know that there's a shift coming. You got to get ready for that shift, because like, okay, I done got comfortable. Okay, God, what's next? And even Sarah Jakes talks about that, and I love her transparency for that, because she's like, every time she thinks that, okay, God, we good, we got it, we done did something massive. God, like you said, God chuckles. He got a sense of humor. He's like, what? And we barely scratching the surface, man. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? So just
that's
like,
really real. And just to, piggyback on the thing about covering, one of the things that I had to realize that I now share with my clients is we tend to, when people try to put us in a box, even though we hate the box, right? But that box becomes our safe space. And we can't grow to the level that we're supposed to in a box. And we need to realize that we need to choose which armor to put on every single day and be intentional about that armor and step outside of the box. Because at least you can still ride the horse and conquer the war if you have on armor. But being in the house or being in a box, you can't do that. You can't go outside. You can't move forward. You can't see change inside of that small space, right? And so just decide, what armor do I need today? Do I need to guard my heart, right? I know I'm a giver and I give without thinking. Like, do I need to be on high alert and have a level of discernment because I'm going into, I don't know, pitch to Shark Tank? I don't know. Or do I need to guard my mind, right? Because so much is swirling around and I'm worried about this, that, and the third, and I'm worried about a problem that's not a problem right now. Because it's one of the things I always have to ask myself when I start to stress or have anxiety. Is this a problem right now? Or is like that a problem in an hour from now? Like, if it's a problem like tomorrow, or we ain't got time to worry about that right now. Just to focus and worry about right now. Like, what's the armor that you need right now? Because it might change throughout the day. You might need the whole body armor, but at least then you can still make the moves you need to make, but step outside the box, step outside that comfort zone.
That is so good. I love that. Wow. So good. We hit on so many amazing things, and the time just flew by. We was having fun. I feel like we literally, like, you really, like, this was great. That's all I can say, just to keep it in a nutshell. Like, this was really great. I feel like, especially just like I mentioned before, like, being at this threshold of the year of like, okay, we're halfway through, we still have our goals to accomplish, but I feel like this conversation, for those who are really like locked in, it was refreshing. And I thank you for pouring into us today, because the truth is, like, it's not too late to do what we need to do. And if we actually take the time to slow down and not acknowledge things that are not a problem, and really look at, okay, where I am now, and appreciate that, then we can really partner with God. Because I think, what was I listening to yesterday that really blessed me? But it's something that's really said commonly, but just to hear it again, it's like, God already set it out. Like, the story's already written. And we get so hung up on like the page that we're on, and it's like, okay, I just need to find solace and peace that the story's already written. I just need to move forward and just like know that God's going to course correct, because even if I'm not doing something that's completely where I need to be within the story, God is going to make sure that I get back on track. And that's what I had to remind myself. And I even laughed at myself, because some things that I was supposed to be doing in 2021, God is like looking at me like, you still got to do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, really, God? Like, you ain't never let this go? Like, we still will go do this thing? I was like, yep. You know what I'm saying? And I know that's not everybody's story, because some people, they're like really in a season where it's like God is telling them, okay, well, that was for that season. Now we're doing this, but it's still going to bring them back to that point. But for me, it's like, I have to like move out on that with that. That's where I had to lead with, you know what I'm saying? And so it's just a powerful conversation that we're having today, because it's like everything all the instruction that I feel like God has been saying has been confirmed. And it's like, I don't have to worry, because it's all going to add up. It's all for purpose.
And you know, a lot of us, at least for me, I always felt behind, right? So the friends that knew they wanted to be doctors and lawyers and engineers, like they knew, right? So they were always on that trajectory. Straight out of school, they had the job. Da, 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 da. And most of us as multiple passions, we got like this squiggly line. It's never a straight line, right? And so I felt behind and I felt like I always had to play catch up and I always had to like put my head down and work hard and like not play and or if I played real hard and then it went back to working real hard, right? And what I had to realize is that his divine timeline is a time machine. Like he can accelerate you in light years. So you're never really behind. You're always right on time and your next step is always your best step as long as you take a step. Because the one thing that he gives us is choice, and many of us choose not to choose. And indecision is also a decision, but it's not the choice that he has destined for you to take to move forward. So asking for the help, investing in yourself, going, you know, getting a cert or investing in a coach. Like a lot of people don't want to invest in a coach because it's like, I'm a DIY or whatever, but the coach has the cliff notes. And I literally something you've been working on for 10 years, a coach can help you like manifest it in less than 90 days.
Right.
But you had to make that decision. You had to make that choice. And so you really got to sit down, write the vision, make it plain, and be really real with yourself, like exclude everybody else. And then make the moves and the choice and the decision to do that. And so, like you said, it's in partnership with him and realize that he's really the pilot and you the co-pilot because I thought I was the pilot. And things will move a lot easier.
Yeah, that is so good. Wow. Well, I appreciate you. You know, I know that we had my crowd, a little bit of your crowd, but I feel like we kind of have the same crowd.
I know, right?
You know, from being in P2P and different things like that, but we can still tell the people where to find you and connect with you just in case.
So all things Jatia Jones. So you can go to jatiajones.com and it'll direct you wherever and however. My playground is Instagram, i.e. I'll respond there if you DM me. But most of the time I spend my time on Instagram or LinkedIn. So anything Jatia Jones, I should pop right on up.
So good, so good. Yeah, Gladiator Unlimited say yes. Writing your vision is so crucial. Jatia is spitting fire. I'm telling you, like my brother even had to remind me, like when I be talking to him, he's like, Crystal, where's your spreadsheet? I'm like, oh my God, can I just vent without us talking about the spreadsheet? You know what I'm saying? But he's like, yeah, you need to, you know, keep referencing your spreadsheet, which is true, you know, because sometimes when you see it, it kind of gives you a little bit like a relief, like, okay, I am making sense. I'm not, you know, this is not like, you know, jump scramble. It's somewhat linear. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, writing it out is very important. So I thank you for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you. And we're gonna chat again because I know that this clarity thing is never ending.
Girl,
it doesn't just stop here, you know, it's a continual process. It's a renewing of your mind daily. So we're definitely gonna have to connect again.
Yes, I would love to. I've enjoyed this because I didn't know how much time, you know, I can talk forever. So thank you.
Yes, thank you
everybody
so much.
In the audience.
Yes. Have a blessed one. Bye. Thank you. All right.